All right, so are you ready to unlock the floodgates to new clients for your hypnotherapy practice?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Because today we're diving deep into Bark.
Love it.
With this ebook, Bark Client Conversion, it is jam-packed with actionable strategies to get you more clients.
Yeah, and having a system is key when it comes to Bark
Totally.
because it's so easy to get lost in the sea of therapists out there.
It's true.
But this ebook really lays out a clear path forward.
It does.
I've seen firsthand how the right approach can be the difference between struggling to find clients and having a wait list.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about, a wait list.
Exactly.
Who has
Yeah.
time for old school marketing when we have this amazing platform at our fingertips?
Right.
And this ebook dives right into that, urging therapists to work smarter, not harder, by letting the computer do the heavy lifting with automation.
Yes.
So is that really the burnout buster it claims to be?
Absolutely. And it makes sense if you think about it. Your time and energy are precious resources.
Mm,
So instead of endlessly scrolling through Bark trying to find the right client, this system is all about setting up really precise filters and alerts. So that way Bark is basically pre-qualifying these leads for you.
that's awesome.
And you're only getting notified about the people that are the best fit for you based on your ideal client profile.
I am so on board with this already.
It's a game changer.
But let's get specific because the ebook introduces this would you buy this lead game
Yes.
where you literally rate potential clients on a 5-star system. It's like swiping left or right for your business.
I love that analogy.
I know. What surprised you most about this?
You're spot on with the dating app analogy, and just like dating, timing is everything.
Okay.
The ebook really stresses that you need to prioritize leads that are less than 25 minutes old.
25 minutes. That seems kind of quick.
It sounds ruthless,
It does.
but hear me out here because someone who posted an hour ago has probably already been contacted by a bunch of other therapists.
That's true.
But a fresh lead, like that, they're eager, they're looking for help now, and you have a much higher chance of grabbing their attention.
So freshness is key. Got it. What else are we looking for?
So besides how old the lead is, you're also going to look at if other professionals have already responded.
Duh.
You want to be the first person they see. Then there's the credit cost, which is a good deal on Bark.
Right, because you only get so many.
Exactly. You only get
Yeah.
so many. So the ebook recommends sticking to leads that cost 5 credits or less.
To maximize your ROI.
Exactly. You want to make every credit count.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
What about those last 2 stars in this magical system?
All right. So this is where you come into it.
Okay.
One of the stars is all about how ready they actually are to book a session.
Okay.
And Bark actually asks them that directly so you can filter out the people who are just kind of browsing or not quite decided yet.
Love that. What about that last star?
This is about making sure this potential client is a good fit for you.
Okay.
Are they seeking help with something that you actually specialize in?
Uh-huh.
Do their budget expectations align with your fees?
Right.
And the beauty of Bark is that they let the clients be specific, so you can be specific too.
I like it.
This isn't about getting just any client. This is about finding those clients you can truly help and who really align with your practice and your style.
So by running every single lead through this 5-star filter,
Yes.
you're creating a VIP list of potential clients who are ready to book now and who are a good match for you. It's brilliant.
Exactly.
But how do you turn that initial contact into a book session? Because the ebook has a whole section on phone scripts,
Yes.
and I've never seen this before.
Hmm.
It gives you a different script depending on who initiates the call.
Interesting.
So why is that so crucial?
It's all about understanding the psychology of the situation because how you would approach someone who is actively reaching out to you is very different than how you would approach someone you're contacting out of the blue.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I'd love to hear more about the reasoning behind these 2 scripts and how they differ. But first, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more actionable insights from Bark Client Conversion after this.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how to craft that perfect phone script. And this ebook has this really unique approach of having 2 different scripts, one for when they call you and one for when you call them.
Right.
So walk me through the psychology there. What's the difference?
Okay, so when someone calls you, they are invested.
Okay.
They've looked at your profile. They're actively looking for help. They want to talk to you. So in that case, your script can be warmer, more welcoming, more like you're greeting someone that just knocked on your door.
Makes sense. But what about when you're the one calling them? Because that feels a little different.
Right, because in that case, you're basically cold calling them.
Even though they posted a lead, They might be busy. They might not remember everything that they put on there. So you want to be a little bit more direct and engaging right off the bat.
So how do you do that without sounding like too salesy or pushy, which I feel like a lot of people are probably a little afraid of?
Yeah, no, totally. And the ebook gives a really good example of this. Instead of saying something like, would you like to schedule an appointment? Which, when you're calling them, feels a little presumptuous.
Totally.
They recommend saying something like, I saw you're looking for help with, and then you mention their issue. And I wanted to see if you had some time to chat about how hypnotherapy could maybe help with that.
So you're acknowledging their need,
Hmm.
and then you're offering a conversation, not like a sales pitch.
Exactly. And this is where I think sticking to the script, especially at first, when you're first starting out and you're building up that confidence, it's really easy to get like flustered or go off on tangents.
You need that safety net
Yes, exactly.
of the structure.
100%. And the other thing too is that even if they don't book, don't let it throw you off.
Right.
The ebook talks about this. Not every conversation is going to be a home run.
Right. It's a numbers game.
It's trusting the process, learning from every interaction that you have, and just knowing that the right people, the people that are a hell yes for you and what you offer, they're out there.
It's about playing that long game and building that really consistent client base. And speaking of long game, this ebook doesn't just stop at getting you that appointment. It goes beyond those one-session wonders and talks about client retention, which I loved. And it uses the example of Bob and Mary.
Yes.
So what are your takeaways from their stories?
So Bob and Mary's stories were really powerful, I think, because it showed how hypnotherapy isn't just about addressing like the surface level issue.
Right.
It's about understanding the deeper needs and motivations of the behaviors.
Totally.
So, for example, Bobby came in because he wanted to quit smoking,
Okay.
which is a pretty common reason people seek out hypnotherapy. But as they worked together, it became clear that his smoking was really tied to these anxieties that he had, stemming from a divorce and a custody battle that he was going through.
It's like that saying, we're only as sick as our secrets. Until we get to that underlying thing, it's just going to keep popping up in different ways.
Exactly. And by uncovering that root cause of his stress and giving him tools to develop these healthier coping mechanisms, that's when they were able to make those long-lasting changes, not just a temporary fix.
Totally. And then there's Mary's story. Her experience with ADHD and the living one day in advance technique really stood out to me. And for those who are not familiar with ADHD, can we give a little context before we dive into what that technique even is?
Yeah, for sure. So ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, can show up in so many ways. But one of the core challenges is executive function,
Okay.
which includes things like planning, organization, time management, all of that stuff. And for some people with ADHD, that can make even simple daily tasks feel incredibly overwhelming.
All right. So how does living one day in advance address that? Because that sounds kind of intense.
It does sound intense, but it can be really effective. So essentially, it involves planning out and completing tomorrow's tasks today.
Whoa. Okay.
So imagine this. You finish your work for today, and then instead of stopping, you actually plan out and do as much as you can for the following day.
So you're always a day ahead. That's wild. What is the reasoning behind that?
So by completing those tasks a day in advance, you're essentially removing that decision fatigue and pressure from those impending deadlines, which can be super challenging for people with ADHD.
Right.
It helps them create more structure and predictability, and ultimately it frees up so much mental energy to focus on being present instead of always worrying about what's next.
Wow. So it's like you're hacking the system by, aligning your environment with how your brain actually works.
Totally.
That's incredible. And I love that. And while that specific technique might not be for everyone, it speaks to the broader idea of meeting your client where they're at, understanding their unique challenges, and tailoring your approach to fit those needs.
100%.
So it's about more than hypnotherapy. It's about a holistic plan for success.
I love that.
And speaking of success, this ebook also touches on something I'm sure a lot of therapists are curious about, which is government funding.
Yes.
So give us the inside scoop on this often overlooked revenue stream, and how does BARC actually play into this?
Okay, so government funding, it kind of has this like mysterious
It does.
aura around it, shrouded in bureaucracy, red tape. But what I love about how the ebook explains it is it doesn't have to be that complicated. And you're right, BARC can be a really useful tool to leverage to connect with these government agencies that do offer funding for hypnotherapy services.
So it's like finding those business-to-business leads, but instead of a business, it's a government agency that could connect you to a ton of clients.
Right. And what the ebook really stresses is the importance of building those relationships with the caseworkers within these agencies,
Go.
because they're the ones that understand the ins and outs of the funding process, the eligibility requirements, and oftentimes they actually have the discretion to refer clients to specific therapists that they know and trust.
That makes sense. So it's about building those relationships and then establishing yourself as that go-to person. But let's be real, navigating the world of government paperwork and invoicing and all of that can feel like a maze.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you not get lost in that sea of bureaucracy?
So the ebook breaks it down into a really simple three-step system. So you've got to have those strong relationships with the caseworkers.
Okay.
Then it's about understanding how to invoice that specific government department because they have different codes, different payment schedules, very specific formats that you have to adhere to. And the ebook actually gives some templates and resources for that.
Oh, cool. So it's about doing your due diligence up front and knowing what you're getting into before you get into it.
Exactly.
What's that third step?
The best part, seeing clients and making a difference.
I like it.
So once you've laid that groundwork, it becomes so much easier to focus on what you do best, providing amazing hypnotherapy services.
Work smarter, not harder.
Or exactly.
Using tools like Bark to streamline the lead gen, to tap into those funding opportunities and ultimately build this thriving, sustainable practice.
Yes.
And speaking of that, this ebook also mentions a New Hope therapy.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's a 10-week program offered by the author and his business partner. And it basically takes everything that we've talked about, all those BARC strategies, those client retention techniques, all those mindset shifts, and gives you the hands-on support to implement it.
So it's like a roadmap, a mentor, and a system all in one.
Exactly.
Right.
They break it down into modules, they give you templates, scripts, and even offer ongoing support along the way to help you troubleshoot any challenges or roadblocks that might come up.
Wow. And they also have a really interesting guarantee,
They do.
which is a no client, no pay guarantee for the first 3 weeks.
I love that.
So if you're on the fence about it,
Huh.
at least you know that you have that safety net.
Right, you can test it out
Yeah.
and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, you get your money back. No questions asked.
So it shows that they really believe in this system,
Yeah,
but also it takes the pressure off of you, the listener.
totally.
You can go into this program knowing that you have that to fall back on.
Yeah, and it's all about investing in yourself, investing in your practice, and doing it in a way that feels supportive and that has a proven framework to guide you.
And we're back. Before the break, we were talking about government funding for your hypnotherapy practice,
Yes.
which can sound a little intimidating.
It can.
But this ebook is saying it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And you were about to share how Bark plays into this.
Yeah, so BARC can actually be a great tool to connect to those government agencies that offer funding for hypnotherapy services.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think of Bark as very business to client focused.
Right.
So are you saying we can use it to almost get business to business leads, but that business is a government agency?
Exactly. It's like finding those B2B leads, but instead of a business, it's a government agency, and then they can connect you to potentially a whole network of clients.
That's amazing. Any tips on how to actually make those connections? Because I feel like a lot of government agencies can feel very much like a black box.
Yeah, and the ebook really emphasizes the importance of building those relationships with caseworkers within these agencies because they're the ones who truly understand the funding process, the eligibility requirements. And oftentimes they have the discretion to refer clients to therapists that they know and trust.
That makes sense. So it's about building the relationship first and then establishing yourself as that go-to person in that network.
Exactly.
But let's be real, navigating the world of government paperwork and invoicing and all those systems, it can feel like a maze.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So how do you not get lost in the sea of bureaucracy?
Right. So the ebook actually breaks it down into this really simple three-step system.
Yeah.
The first thing, like we talked about, is having those strong relationships with caseworkers.
Got it.
Then it's really about understanding the specifics of invoicing that particular government department because they're going to have different codes, different payment schedules, and usually very particular formats that you have to adhere to. And the ebook actually gives you some helpful templates and resources to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. So it's kind of like knowing the rules of the game before you start playing.
Yes, exactly.
Love it. Well, what's that third step?
And then the best part, you get to see clients make a difference.
There we go.
So once you've kind of laid all that groundwork, then it becomes so much easier to really focus on what you do best, which is providing that amazing hypnotherapy service.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Using tools like Bark to streamline that lead generation,
Yeah,
to tap into those funding opportunities, and ultimately just build that thriving, sustainable practice that I think we all want.
exactly.
Now, speaking of thriving, sustainable practices, this ebook also mentions a new hope therapy.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so it's basically a 10-week program that's offered by the author and his business partner.
Okay.
And it takes everything that we've talked about today, all those BARC strategies, those client retention techniques, those mindset shifts, and it really gives you the hands-on support to actually implement all of it.
So it's like a roadmap, a mentor, and a system all in one.
Exactly.
And they have a really cool guarantee, which is a no client, no pay guarantee for the first 3 weeks.
I love that.
So if you're like, I don't know, should I do this? You can at least test it out,
Totally.
knowing you have that safety net.
Yeah, you can see if it works for you. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. You get your money back.
That's amazing. It shows how much they believe in their system, but also it takes the pressure off of you, the listener, to really like go all in and know that you have something to fall back on.
Right. It really is about investing in yourself, investing in your practice, and doing it in a way that feels really good and supportive and has that proven framework to kind of guide you.
Well, this has been amazing. We've covered so much. Thank you so much for all of these insights.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we've learned how to attract clients,
Yeah.
retain them. We even got into some funding opportunities
You did.
that I think a lot of people don't even know exist.
Right. It's like a whole secret world.
It is. It's like that secret level of hypnotherapy.
I love it.
So as we wrap up, what is one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
You know, I think the biggest thing is to just remember that building a successful practice takes time and effort and a willingness to experiment and try new things. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Love it.
Find what works best for you and then celebrate all of those wins along the way.
I love that. Embrace the journey. Be open to possibilities. Trust that you have the right tools and support. You can totally achieve your goals and create that hypnotherapy practice of your dreams. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody, and we'll see you next time for another adventure in knowledge and insights.